Welcome to today's paper reading. Today's paper is titled, Retrieval-Augmented Generation with Hierarchical Knowledge. This paper was published on the AR14 preprint by Haoyu Wang and colleagues from Casma.ai and the Chinese University of Hong Kong. Abstract. This paper introduces HiRAG, a novel RAG approach that leverages hierarchical knowledge. The abstract highlights that existing RAG methods do not adequately utilize inherent hierarchical knowledge, limiting their capabilities. HiRAG enhances semantic understanding and structure capturing in indexing and retrieval. The experiments demonstrate significant performance improvements over state-of-the-art baselines. The code is available on GitHub. Introduction. This section introduces Retrieval-Augmented Generation, RAG, and its role in enhancing LLMs for knowledge-intensive tasks. Naive RAG methods often overlook relationships among entities, leading to limitations. The paper highlights two critical challenges in existing RAG systems: distant structural relationships between semantically similar entities, and the knowledge gap between local and global knowledge. To address these, the paper proposes HiRAG, which integrates hierarchical knowledge into indexing, HiIndex, and HiRetrieval processes. HiRAG provides a three-level context, global, bridge, and local, to enable more comprehensive and precise responses from LLMs. Figure 1 illustrates the challenges in existing RAG systems that integrate graph structures. The first challenge is the distant structural relationship between semantically similar entities. For example, big data and recommendation system are semantically related under data mining, but their structural relationship in the KG is distant. The second challenge is the knowledge gap between local and global knowledge. For instance, when querying "please introduce Amazon," the global context emphasizes Amazon's involvement in big data and cloud computing, while the local context retrieves entities directly linked to Amazon, such as subsidiaries and leadership. This disparity can lead to disjointed reasoning and inconsistent responses from LLMs. Related work. This section reviews existing research on graph-augmented LLMs, focusing on RAG methods using graph structures. GNNRAG uses GNN-based reasoning to retrieve query-related entities and finds the shortest paths between these entities and candidate answers to construct reasoning paths. LightRAG integrates a dual-level retrieval method with graph-enhanced text indexing, reducing computational costs and speeding up the adjustment process. GRAG uses a soft pruning approach to minimize the influence of irrelevant entities and retrieve subgraphs and implements prompt tuning to help LLMs comprehend textual and topological information. Preliminary and definitions. This section introduces the fundamental definitions and formulations of Retrieval-Augmented Generation, RAG, systems with graph structures. The formulation of an RAG system M is defined as M equals LLM R phi psi, where LLM is the generation module, and R represents the retrieval module. The answer obtained from an RAG system, denoted as A*operator, is formulated as A*operator equals argmax M, A, Q, G, where M, A, Q, G, is the target distribution. The graph database G is constructed from the original external database D, represented as G equals phi D equals H, R, T, where H and T are nodes in V, and R belongs to E. The HiRAG framework. This section details the HiIndex module, focusing on indexing documents as a hierarchical knowledge graph, KG. First, the module constructs a basic KG, denoted as G0, using entity-centric triple extraction. The input documents are split into chunks, and an LLM extracts entities, V0, and relations, E0, to form the triples H, R, T. Next, the module constructs hierarchical KG layers. For each layer I, embeddings of entities from the previous layer, C-1, are fetched, and Gaussian mixture models, GMMs, are used for semantic clustering. The LLM then generates summary entities for the ITH layer. Finally, the Leiden algorithm computes communities, P, from the hierarchical KG, and LLMs generate semantic reports for each community. Unlike flat KGs, this hierarchical approach introduces multi-resolution semantic aggregation, enhancing both structural cohesion and semantic bridging. Figure 2 illustrates the overall architecture of the HiRAG framework, which comprises two main modules, HiIndex and HiRetrieval. The HiIndex module is responsible for constructing a hierarchical knowledge graph, KG, with varying levels of knowledge granularity across different layers. Summary entities in the higher layers represent coarse-grained, high-level knowledge, enhancing the connectivity between semantically similar entities in the lower layers. The HiRetrieval module selects the most relevant entities from each retrieved community, and identifies the shortest paths connecting them. These paths serve as bridge-level knowledge, linking knowledge at both local and global levels. Finally, a large language model, LLM, generates responses using this three-level knowledge as context. This section details how the HiRAG framework retrieves hierarchical knowledge to address the knowledge gap issue. The process involves retrieving three levels of knowledge: local, global, and bridging knowledge. For local-level knowledge, the authors extract the top and most relevant entities using semantic similarity, with n set to 20 by default. To access global-level knowledge, the framework identifies communities connected to the retrieved entities and retrieves their reports. Finally, to bridge the gap between local and global knowledge, the authors find reasoning paths connecting the retrieved communities, constructing a subgraph that connects knowledge in local entities and global communities. These three levels of knowledge are then fed into the LLM to generate a comprehensive answer. This section explains why HiRAG is effective. HiRAG's effectiveness comes from its hierarchical architecture, including HiIndex, which is the hierarchical KG, and HiRetrieval, the three-level knowledge retrieval. This directly addresses the limitations outlined in challenges 1 and 2. To address challenge 1, the hierarchical knowledge graph introduces summary entities in its higher layers, creating shortcuts between entities that are distantly located in lower layers. This design efficiently bridges semantically related concepts, bypassing the need for exhaustive traversal of fine-grained relationships in the KG. To resolve challenge 2, HiRetrieval constructs reasoning paths by linking the top-n entities most semantically relevant to a query with their associated communities. These paths represent the shortest connections between localized entity descriptions and global community-level insights, ensuring that both granular details and broader contextual knowledge inform the reasoning process. Experimental evaluation. This section presents a comparative analysis of HiRAG against several baseline methods across 4 datasets. The evaluation employs GPT-4o to assess the quality of generated answers based on comprehensiveness, empowerment, and diversity. The win rates, indicating the percentage of instances where HiRAG outperforms other methods, are reported. The results show that integrating graph structures enhances RAG systems, as naive RAG performs worse due to its inability to model relationships. Approaches incorporating global knowledge significantly surpass fast graph RAG, which relies on local knowledge. HiRAG achieves the best performance due to HiIndex, which enhances connections between entities, and HiRetrieval, which effectively bridges global knowledge with localized context. Table 1 presents a comparative analysis of HiRAG's performance against several baseline methods across 4 datasets: mix, CS, legal, and agriculture. The evaluation is based on win rates, indicating the percentage of instances where a method generates superior answers, as judged by GPT-4o across 4 dimensions: comprehensiveness, empowerment, diversity, and overall quality. HiRAG consistently outperforms naive RAG, graph RAG, light RAG, fast graph RAG, and KG across the 4 datasets and the 4 dimensions in most of the cases. The results highlight the benefits of graph structures and global knowledge integration in RAG systems. The table also includes ablation studies, comparing HiRAG with variants lacking hierarchical indexing, without HiIndex, and bridge-level knowledge, without bridge, demonstrating the importance of these components for HiRAG's superior performance. This section evaluates the significance of using a hierarchical knowledge graph, KG, compared to a flat KG. The results, shown in Table 1, indicate that removing the hierarchical indexing, without HiIndex, leads to a decrease in win rates across almost all cases. This highlights the importance of hierarchical indexing in generating high-quality answers, as it enhances the connectivity between semantically similar entities. Furthermore, the study finds that HiRetrieval, the 3-level knowledge retrieval method, remains effective even when applied to a flat KG. The win rates of without HiIndex are comparable to graph RAG and light RAG, because without HiIndex leverages additional bridge-level knowledge. Finally, the section refers to Table 2 for a detailed comparison of token costs, API calls, and time costs across 4 datasets. Table 2 presents a comparative analysis of token usage, API calls, and time costs across 4 datasets: mix, CS, legal, and agriculture. The table evaluates the indexing and retrieval efficiency of KG, HiRAG, graph RAG, and light RAG. For token cost, HiRAG consumes fewer tokens than graph RAG in indexing. In terms of API calls, HiRAG requires fewer calls than other methods. Regarding time cost, HiRAG's indexing takes slightly longer but retrieval is faster. The indexing cost for the mixed dataset is approximately $7.55 using DeepSeek v3. HiRAG is more efficient for online retrieval as it does not cost any tokens. Figure 3 illustrates the 3-level knowledge context provided to an LLM to answer the query presented in Figure 1. The key aspect of this figure is the inclusion of bridge-level knowledge, which contains entity descriptions from different communities. These communities are visually distinguished by different colors in the figure. This bridge-level knowledge is crucial as it helps the LLM to accurately answer questions, such as understanding Amazon's dual role as both an e-commerce and cloud provider by connecting different aspects of its business. Figure 4 illustrates the cluster sparsity, CSI, and its change rate from CSI to CSI plus 1. The shadowed areas represent the value ranges across the 4 datasets used in the study. The blue and pink lines indicate the average values for each, respectively. The graph shows that as more layers are added, the cluster sparsity increases and eventually stabilizes. The change rate from CSI to CSI plus 1 decreases with each additional layer, indicating diminishing returns in cluster quality. A threshold of 5% is used to determine when to stop constructing additional layers, as the cluster quality shows little improvement beyond this point. This section evaluates HiRetrieval against scenarios with gapped knowledge. The results show HiRetrieval achieves higher accuracy, improved recall, and a better F1 score. Gapped knowledge leads to reduced performance due to information loss and incomplete context. The comparative analysis demonstrates HiRetrieval outperforms gap knowledge approaches by maintaining complete knowledge and contextual integrity. This section discusses how to determine the optimal number of layers in HiIndex. The study shows that removing the bridge-level knowledge in HiRetrieval leads to a significant drop in win rates, highlighting the knowledge gap between local and global levels. The bridge layer contains entity descriptions from different communities. The number of layers, denoted as K, should be dynamically determined based on cluster quality. The process stops when most clusters contain only a few entities. Cluster sparsity, or CSI, is introduced to measure cluster quality in each layer, as defined in equation 17. The study found that CSI increases with more layers and stabilizes. A threshold of 5% is set for the change rate of cluster sparsity. Layer construction stops when the change rate falls below this threshold. This section analyzes the efficiency and costs associated with HiRAG. The indexing process, although requiring more time and resources, is conducted offline. The total indexing cost for the mixed dataset is approximately $7.55 using DeepSeek v3. For retrieval, HiRAG does not incur any token costs per query, making it more efficient for online retrieval compared to KG and LightRAG. While HiRAG demands more resources overall, this investment translates to better performance. Conclusions. This section concludes the paper by summarizing the HiRAG framework. The authors presented a novel approach to enhance retrieval-augmented generation systems. This is achieved by effectively utilizing graph structures with hierarchical knowledge. The HiIndex module enhances both structural and semantic connectivity across hierarchical layers. The HiRetrieval module effectively bridges global conceptual abstractions with localized entity descriptions. The HiRAG achieves superior performance compared to existing methods. Limitations. This section discusses the limitations of HiRAG. Firstly, constructing a high-quality hierarchical KG may incur substantial token consumption and time overhead because LLMs need to perform entity summarization in each layer. The author suggests that parallelizing the indexing process could reduce the indexing time. Secondly, the HiRetrieval module relies solely on LLM-generated weights for relation ranking, which may affect query relevance. The authors plan to research more effective ranking mechanisms to further improve the retrieval quality. Thank you for watching.